Okay, so look here, observe it carefully. Let's take a simply supported beam. So here there is a hinge, here there is a roller. So before application of load, the member is like this. I am applying a load P like this at the center. This is giving rise to deflection. The beam, let's assume it is deflecting like this. I am just exaggerating the elastic deflection so that we can understand or recognize the deflection at every point clearly. So if you see here, load P, though it is acting at the center, or anyways, as it is acting at the center, it is giving rise to some deflection at the center. But though it is not at all acting any other point, it is giving rise to deflection at other locations as well. Though this load P is acting at the center, it is giving rise to deflection at other locations as well. That means what's happening is, the effect of load P is there. I mean, may not be same, may not be total value, but the effect of load P is there throughout, or it is induced throughout the length of the beam. The effect of the load P is induced throughout the length of the beam. So what we are going to do is, we are going to find out the induced value along the length of the beam. So variation of induced value along the length of the beam. So here it is a little bit obvious from the deflection that more deflection is there means at the center means more amount of shear force is induced at the center. Okay, so lesser deflection is there towards the center, towards the corners means lesser value is induced, at this corners there. But actually what happening is, there is another force coming up from supports. Okay, so force, another force P, another force is coming up from left support, another force is coming up from right support there. So here the beam is experiencing force which is the effect of multiple three forces here. So we are going to find out how much is induced due to all these three forces along the length of the beam. Or we are going to find out the induced value of force due to all these forces, its variation along the length of the beam. And these forces are actually acting parallel to area of cross section. If you take it this as a beam, this is the area of cross section. Okay, so if you apply some load, it is acting parallel to area of cross section. So you take any force, applied force or supportive force, any force, they are all acting parallel to area of cross section. So we are going to see the induced value, variation of induced value of the force along the length of the beam. We are going to see the induced value variation along the length of the beam. Clear? Understood? So that graph which gives you the variation of induced value of shear force along the length of the beam is called as shear force diagram. So everyone clear? If you go to textbooks, you will not get all these definitions. Directly they will go through the sign convention of shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, which you should use. They don't even say why you should use the sign convention, and directly they will start solving numericals. Understand? So here I just want everyone to be clear. Okay? So everybody understood what is the definition of shear force diagram? I'll give you the statement to copy from the board. I just want your acknowledgement whether it is clear or not. So again I'm repeating here. So we see that the effect of, though the force P is acting at the center, okay, those supportive forces are acting at the corners. The effect of these forces are not only there at the locations where the forces are applied, but the effect of these forces are actually there along every point, at every point along the length of the beam. So we are going to find out the induced value. Okay, we are going to find out the induced value of these, induced values of these applied forces. I mean, this force and also these forces, variation along the length of the beam. So shear force diagram, a shear force diagram is the diagram which shows the variation of induced value of shear force. The diagram which shows the variation of induced value of shear force along the length of the beam. For example, look here, let's take this length is equal to L by 2, this length is equal to L by 2. If you take a point which is a distance of L by 3, at that location there is no force, either applied force or supportive force. So you don't have applied force or supportive force. Applied force is acting at L by 2 and center points. The supportive forces are at the corners. So those, though they are not acting at the location, the effect of these three forces is there at this location. So the shear force diagram gives us the effect of these three forces at this location. I mean, how much force is coming up due to these three forces at this location. So that force is anyways parallel to area of cross section, so we call it a shear force. So that is the induced value of shear force. So the diagram, the shear force diagram gives us the induced value of shear force like this at every point along the length of the beam. Okay, so kindly put this definition of shear force diagram. We'll go ahead into the definition of bending moment diagram. I hope it is clear now. You can underline the word induced because we are concerned about induced value. So if you want to have more clear understanding, you can write down example at x is equal to L by 3 from left end, no force, either applied force, either applied or supportive, either applied or supportive, either applied or supportive are there, applied or supportive are there, but induced value is there. So this diagram gives us the induced value, this shear force diagram. Okay. Now again let's take the example. It is easy to understand. Look here, because here we are talking about rotation. So the load P is acting at the center. So before application of load, the member is here. Okay, so I'm taking one part of the length of the beam. It is acting horizontally like this. Now due to the application of load, bending will happen. The member became like this. So if I see the same member in the bent beam, it got rotated by some angle theta. Okay. In the same way, if I take another element which is here, so this got rotated by more angle. So this is let's take this angle as theta 1, this angle as theta 2. So we see theta 2 is greater than theta 1. So here what I would like to convey here is the load P is acting at the center, but that is giving rise to rotation, a torque or moment at every point along the length of the beam. And every point or every element is having its, or it is induced with different value of moment. So in the previous class only we understood or studied that turning effect of a force is called as torque. It's also called as moment of a force. So here the induced moment is different. Though the load is acting at the center, moment is being induced at every location along the length of the beam, but the induced value is different. So the bending moment diagram gives us the variation of this induced moment along the length of the beam. Yeah, you can copy this definition. So bending moment diagram. This diagram gives us the variation of induced value of bending moment along the length of the beam. Induced value of bending moment along the length of the beam. Okay. Can you copy everyone? So we'll take an example and find out shear force and bending moment at some location along the length of the beam. Okay, let's go ahead. So I'm taking the example like this. So it's a simply supported beam having a point load in the middle. So obviously you'll be having a P by 2 force here and another P by 2 force here. This is L by 2. This is L by 2. So here I want you people to get the value of shear force at the location which is at a distance of L by 3 from the left side. Okay. So I want you people to get the value of shear force at the location which is at L by 3 from the left side. So for this, what we should be doing is, we should take the left part and right part separately. So here, on this left part there is P by 2 force, on this right part there is force P, this also P by 2, this distance is L by 3, this is equal to L by 2. Okay, now we should take the shear force as V, as it is an internal force, both should add up to 0. At this location, there is no external force, so this V and this V both should be added to 0. That's why I took one upside, one downside. But here, there is no compulsion that you should always take this thing as upside only. You can take downside also, right? Constantly, there is nothing wrong. So we can take upside, downside, or you can take reverse as well. So I will take that thing also to see if answer is coming out to be same or not. Okay. So I am taking the opposite sense of shear forces. This is L by 3, this is L by 2, so this becomes 2L by 3, clear? So how to get this values of shear forces V? How to get the value of shear force V? What is the condition you're going to apply? How can you get this value of shear force V? How can you get it? It's nothing but the condition of equilibrium again. Because whole member is in equilibrium, so we can say the every part of the body will be in equilibrium. So whole member is in equilibrium, so this part will be in equilibrium, this part also will be in equilibrium. Okay, so whether you take V upside downside or downside upside, so whatever the condition you take, every part should be in equilibrium. So here, to get the value of V, we can apply the condition that net force in y direction is equal to 0. Because we are evaluating the force, so we can apply the condition that net force in y direction is equal to 0. Apply net force in y direction is equal to 0 and get the value of shear force V here, 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 and let me know. Do it, everyone. Completely copy everything in the same way and do this step. Yeah, Chandresh, you said is right. Moment about suppose is 0, but that will not be helping us to get the value of V. Okay, so to get the value of V, we should be going with this equation. That will help you to get the value of bending moment. We'll use that condition, okay? But for the next time. Write down in the same way in your notebook. So here, you will be getting V is equal to minus P by 2. Here also you will get V is equal to minus P by 2. Okay, so here you will get V is equal to P by 2. And here also V is equal to P by 2. Everybody, kindly check. You should get same values when you take any side of the member, any side of the cut. So minus P by 2, here P by 2 and P by 2. Okay, clear? Everybody got this correctly, I hope. So let's understand few things based upon these results. One very good thing is we are getting same answer. Anyways, our objective is to get the value of V, right? We are getting same answer whether we take the left side or right side. Okay, that's a very good thing, because if you think calculations for this part is little difficult, we can take the left one, which is a little bit simpler. So we can choose the side of the cut which is simpler to do the calculation, and we can get the answer for V. Okay, so we can get the answer for V there. Okay, now when you are dealing with V upside, V downside, we are getting shear force with some sign. And when you are taking V downside upside, reverse of the previous case, you are getting shear force with opposite sign. That's the problem here. Understand? Okay. Let's go ahead and calculate the value of bending moment, and then again look into this problem here. Okay. First of all, let's get the value of bending moment as well. So here in bending moment also, here I am interested in finding out the bending moment at this location. That is x is equal to L by 3. From left side. So this is the point I should get the value of bending moment. So if it is coming on to the left side of the cut, and this is the point if we are coming on to the right side of the cut. Okay. Now here, if you take moments, unknown moment here, so we can take anti-clockwise on this side. If you are taking anti-clockwise on this side, you should take clockwise on this side here. So it's anti-clockwise. So we should take clockwise directly like this. So I took anti-clockwise, clockwise. So here it should become clockwise and anti-clockwise. So here I took anti-clockwise, clockwise. Here I took clockwise, anti-clockwise here. So like Chandresh was saying, we should apply net moment is equal to 0. You can apply this condition, get the value of M here, M here, M here, M here. Kindly do the calculation, everyone. Come on, do it. So here we don't need to apply about support only, because we are concerned about getting the value of m. So here I'm just letting you people know that if you take moment about the point where you would like to get the value of moment, you can get the answer a little bit faster. Understand? Because unknown value is m here, and p by 2 is a known value. Okay, so if you are taking about the supports, known value will go off. Unknown value v will be coming. Again, you should substitute, or you should do the extra step of substituting the value of v, which came from this calculation here. So instead of that, if you take about this point, because anyways v is, let's assume it is unknown at this stage, so v will be going off and it will be directly getting the value of m. So as far as you are evaluating the bending moment, kindly take about this point only to reduce your calculation time. That's my suggestion. But you can get the same answer by taking about any point, because ultimately the body is in equilibrium. So at every point, about any point, the body will be in equilibrium only. Get the value of m. So you should be getting the answer as, okay. So similar problem will come again here. So whether you take left side or right side, you'll get same value in terms of magnitude and also sign. But when you are taking this case, you are getting positive value, and here you are getting negative value. So there is nothing wrong in this approach, there is nothing wrong in this approach. But the problem is, we are going to plot the graph. So in a graph or in a function, positive values are shown opposite to negative values. That means positive values and negative values are distinguished. So though practically there is no physical significance, I mean, in a very few cases physical significance is there, positive and negative value there. So here we see that one approach is giving us with one sign, other approach is giving us with other sign. So to have clarity at the start only, or to have clarity or to avoid confusion between the people, so that everybody will get the same answer, we all are agreeing upon the statement or this condition that all will go with this type of the directions or rotations of moments here, directions of force or rotations of moments here. So I'm not asking you people to go through this arbitrarily. I'm asking you people to follow the convention, the sign convention, which is followed by most of the people around the world. So if you see the NPTEL lecture, or if you see many of the forward of the textbooks, this is the sign convention is followed. Okay. If you see Indian author textbooks, so this is being followed here. Okay, like this. That means we should take upside, we should take downside, and if it is left side or right side respectively. M anti-clockwise, M clockwise, left side or right side respectively. If you see Indian author textbooks for SOM, they are following this and they are following this. I mean, instead of following these two, they are following this and this. I mean, what I would like to convey here is, most of the people around the globe are following the convention. So V should be upside, M should be anti-clockwise if you are going by this shear force and bending moment, and V should be downside if you take right side part, and M should be clockwise if you are going by right side part. This is what the sign convention followed by most of the people. In our textbooks, what I observed was, they are following reverse sign convention for V, but same sign convention for M. Understood? Okay. So whatever the convention we use, you will get magnitude as same only. And please remember, here the difference is only in terms of shear force, which is of little lesser significant relatively as compared to bending moment. Because for bending moment, there is a concept next we're going to see immediately as sagging and hogging. So wherever bending moment is like a particular way of bending, we call it as sagging, particular way of bending, we call it as hogging. So whatever the convention they are following, whether it is Indian author textbook or forward the textbook or anywhere, NPTEL, etc. This is also NPTEL. This is regarding NPTEL. So they are following same convention for bending moments, because left cut means anti-clockwise, right cut means clockwise. Same thing here also. So for bending moment there is no difference, because it is a little bit important, because we define that sagging is a phenomena where bending moment is positive. I mean, actually speaking,
the sagging happens, the locations where we are getting bending moment as positive according to our sign convention. So I hope you're able to follow what I'm saying here. So what I would like to convey here is, though the sign conventions are not completely standardized or everyone around the globe is not following a single sign convention, the problem will not come while solving numericals or dealing with sagging or hogging. That's what I would like to convey. Okay, clear? So whatever the sign convention, whether you see, at least regarding the bending moments, Indian author textbook or foreign author textbook or NPTEL again following this method only. So you're going to see that bending moment convention is same, but we see reverse sign convention for shear force. That's the only thing here. So whatever the way in which I'm going to draw, because I'm going to follow this convention, understand? So there is one reason as well, because but the reason is a little bit at higher level. If I tell it, explain it now, it will become a little bit boring for you people. In fact, I have made a video on shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, introductory video of 1 hour is there in the Gate Academy channel of YouTube. Okay, the Gate Academy YouTube channel. So you can see why we have to go by this convention rather than this convention. Okay, so in NPTEL it is beautifully explained why we have to go with this convention. In fact, it is according to Cartesian coordinate system. So I felt that very much appropriate. That's why I am going with this method here. So this can cause you to have a different values of, different values in terms of sign for shear forces when you are following Indian author textbook. Okay, but it will not cause any problem when solving any gate question or anywhere. The problem will not at all come. That's why I am telling confidently that you can go ahead with single convention, this thing itself. Okay, so you can keep in mind, but please don't get panic or don't worry when you see a opposite sign for shear force when you are studying or going through any Indian author textbook for song. Okay, everyone, clear? So Chandresh is having a doubt here. How you applied submission of moment 0? Chandresh, I think you are asking how we got bending moment as m. Bending moment value is equal to PL by 6. Is it the question you are asking? Is it the question you are asking? Okay. So here I am just doing the calculation here. I think you missed the yesterday's class. Fine, okay, that's okay. I will redraw this sign convention diagram once again. So here if you see this diagram, I am taking moment about this point. Like I said once again, I am again telling it once again. So you can take moment about any point, but taking about this point will give you answer fast. You can remove unnecessary step. So about this point, V is passing through the point, it will not cause any moment. M is acting anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise moments we take it as positive. Okay. So about this point, P by 2 is acting. This P by 2 will be giving rise to moment in clockwise sense or rotation clockwise sense. So P by 2 into L by 3. So minus, because it's clockwise sense, force into distance P by 2 into L by 3. So all should add up to 0. M comes out to be PL by 6. Same if you do here. About this point, we will not be giving rise to any rotation. M is clockwise, so minus M. Okay. So P, if you take this distance, it comes out to be L by 6. So P is giving rise to moment of P into L by 6 clockwise. So minus PL by 6. And P by 2 is acting, and this distance is 2L by 3. P by 2 is acting in anti-clockwise sense. So positive. So plus P by 2 into 2L by 3. So this gives you minus M minus PL by 6 plus PL by 3 is equal to 0. You will get the same value. M is equal to again PL by 6 itself. Clear? Okay? Understood? This is how you do it. So I hope everybody is clear. Okay? So you can copy this diagram for sign convention. The sign convention which you follow. In textbooks it is given in different way. The diagram they show to explain you the usage of sign convention is different. I am explaining a simpler way here. The sign convention which we use is whenever you take a cut, you make a cut and you take the left part of the cut, you should take shear force V upside. Okay, and you should take bending moment in anti-clockwise sense, and you should take moment about this point. Whereas if you are taking right side of the cut, you should go by reverse approach, or you should go by reverse directions. So for shear force and bending moment, you should be taken downside, and M should be taken clockwise, like this. So this is the sign convention which we should be following here. Understood? Clear? Kindly copy this. We'll go ahead with the concept of sagging and hogging. Sagging and hogging. So sagging means if the beam is bending in this way, we call this phenomena as sagging. Okay? And if the beam is bending in this way, the phenomenon is called as hogging. Okay? Now, every time it's not possible for us to just by look at the bending or bent beam and decide whether it is sagging or hogging. It's sometimes very easy, but sometimes it becomes very, very difficult. For example, you have a scenario where a cantilever beam is experiencing a point load at the free end. It's very obvious that the beam will bend like this downward. So everywhere along the length of the beam, it's experiencing hogging only. It's very clear. But for example, if you have a scenario where the beam is having, by equilibrium condition will get like this. So here, you cannot simply say how the beam will bend. So you can have a basic idea, or you may think that the beam will, okay, so the beam should be bending like something like this, something like this, something like this. But you will not be having clarity at this location whether the beam will undergo bend, sagging or hogging. Okay, so here we can decide whether sagging will happen or hogging will happen by our bending moment diagram itself. According to our sign convention, bending moment is positive, it is representing sagging. If the bending moment is negative, it represents hogging. So our sign convention gives us the result that if yours bending moment value in the graph is coming out to be positive, means it is a phenomenon of sagging. At that location, sagging is happening. And if the bending moment value is negative, that means at that location the member is undergoing hogging. Clear? So you can write down like this. So according to our sign convention, if bending moment is positive, it is sagging. If it is negative, it is hogging. Understood? If you go to a mattress shop, Sleepwell, Peps, Duroflex, etc. So there they use the word sagging. They say, sir, take this mattress, it is somewhere around 10,000. It will undergo very less sagging over time. They mean the mattress will not become like this. If the person is repeatedly sleeping and going off, sleeping and going off, so they mean to say that the mattress is little more strong, or it is having good amount of endurance, so which will not lead to have this type of permanent deformation, which is in the phenomenon of sagging. So they use the word sagging. Done, everyone? Okay. So put the heading. So first of all, we are going to learn how to draw shear force diagram, bending moment diagram in a conventional way or traditional way without using any shortcut for some 6 loading cases. Strictly speaking, whatever we did just now, I mean few minutes before, for the simply supported beam having point out in the middle where P by 3 force at the P by 3 L by 3 distance, we got the value of shear force value and bending moment value. In fact, that is the main part of the chapter. So there is a conventional way of doing it, but sometimes it's not that much easy as that question or example to get the value of shear force and bending moment. So we are going to see, or we are going to deal with different types of loads, because we haven't dealt with only point load in that example. So we deal with varying type of loads, we deal with the uniformly distributed loads and all, and see how to draw the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. And from that, once we complete all the these 6 standard loading cases, we'll see shortcuts as well. Clear? So before the break, we'll be taking break at 7:30. So before that, before the break itself, let's try to complete the first example. Put the heading, everyone, and take the name of the first loading condition. So here, first step, as you all know, we should get unknown reaction forces and moments. I want you people to give me the values of Rx, Ry and M naught. Come on, do it fast. What are these values of Rx, Ry, M naught? Make it fast. Very good. Rx 0, R by W, M naught is equal to W into L. So simply by applying equilibrium condition, you can get these values. Only for this question, I will do this step. So sigma Fx is equal to 0 means Rx will become 0. Sigma Fy 0 means Ry minus W is equal to 0. This gives you Ry value is equal to W. Sigma Mz is equal to 0. You take moment about any point. M naught anti-clockwise. This total length is equal to L. So minus W into L is equal to 0. This gives you M naught value is equal to W into L. Now So the beam is like this. So applied force is W. So reaction force is W is there, and W into L is there. So let's draw the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. So we would like to draw the whole diagram. So we want for every point along the length of the beam here. So what we are doing is we are taking a cut along the length of the beam at a distance of x from left side. So please remember, whether I say or not say, every time x-axis is like this. Origin is along the origin is at the left support and x-axis along the length of the beam before unbent beam or non-bent beam. So it is origin at a distance of x from left side. We are taking this cut here. Okay. So you guys know that we will get the same answer whether you take the left side cut or right side cut. Okay. So here I am taking the left side cut here because there is no much significance amount of calculation time whether you take right side or left side. So these are the forces acting on left side part. So we should take shear forces as well. So shear force is V upside. We should take upside according to our sign convention, and bending moment should be taken anti-clockwise. So we should take about this point, and this distance is actually x. Okay. So if you apply equilibrium condition, we can get the value of shear force and bending moment. Okay. So if you apply sigma F is equal to 0, Fi is equal to 0, we'll get V plus W is equal to 0. This implies V is equal to minus W. So shear force equation is a constant equal to minus W throughout the length of the beam. It is independent of x. Now if you take sigma Mz is equal to 0, I said to make it simple, take moment about this point. So M anti-clockwise, W into x clockwise, WL anti-clockwise is equal to 0. You should be very careful in writing down the second equation or moment equation. Wherever there is plus, if you are putting in wrong sign, you will be getting wrong answer. So this gives us the value of bending moment is equal to M W into x clockwise and W into L anti-clockwise here. So this gives us W of x minus L. So this gives us the variation of bending moment M. We see that here there is no x, so shear force is independent of x. But here we see x power 1 is there. So bending moment is actually a straight line. So let's plot these two curves. So if I plot the shear force diagram, shear force, this is x, 0, L. So whatever is the value of x, shear force is always equal to minus W. So the curve will become like this. Our curve will come out to be a straight line like this. Now if we take bending moment, so this is bending moment M, this is x, this is 0, this is L. So now when you are plotting this diagram, so we understood from x power 1 that it's actually a straight line. So it's a straight line means we require only 2 points. Once you know 2 points, we can draw a line. So I will take at 2 locations. At x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. At x is equal to 0, it's very obvious that bending moment value is equal to minus W into L. So here it is minus W into L. And x is equal to L, bending moment is equal to 0. So we should draw a line joining these 2 points. So we will be getting a straight line like this. In fact, it's a straight line, so we should be drawing a line joining those 2 points. Now if you see these two diagrams, we should be identifying what is V maximum magnitude and what is M maximum magnitude. May I know these two values? What is V max magnitude? Because we have to use those two values in the next chapter, because that's the location where we are going to get maximum shear stress value, and there's a location where we are going to get maximum bending stress value. So V max magnitude will be nothing but W, and M max magnitude is nothing but W into L. So maximum magnitude of bending moment. Very good. Understand? So this is how every question you should be doing. So here there is only point load again. That's why this example is very easy. The only complicatedness will come when you have multiple point loads along the length of the beam, or when you have distributed loads along the length of the beam. Anyways, there is for every type of loading condition, there is a method to solve it. So I mean, we use the same concept to apply in a different way to get it easy, to get the answer easily there. So you guys copy this, and after coming back from break, you can copy this. Then we'll go with the second loading condition, that is cantilever beam with uniformly distributed load.